Hello, welcome to another action-packed episode of Those Two Nerds. Uh, I am Nictus. I've been here every single week, and as you can see, Vera Coach is nowhere to be seen. This is not Vera Coach. He did not get this pretty. So, he's not here today. He had to do some things involving some moving and getting his house in order, and I had a last-minute volunteer say, "Hey, I'll come on the show with you." So, ta-da! So, just a quick reminder of like what the show's about. We talk about whatever we feel like talking about. Sometimes that's movies, sometimes that's video games, nerd culture, horror stuff, whatever just happens to strike our boat, whatever happens to strike our fancy. So yeah, so this is our special guest today, and do you want to tell us a little bit about who you are and why you wanted to be on the show today?
Okay, hi. I decided to be on the show today because I've always wanted to be on here, and I'm actually in the process of writing an intro song for them. So I play a lot of music, and I'm trying to get experience with my own podcast that will be starting in Halloween.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so you're thinking about doing your own podcast, and what kind of topics do you think that you're going to cover? We're going to let you do a little self promotion right now. So, what kind of topics and stuff are you going to be covering on your podcast?
So it's gonna be kind of like unexplained mysteries, like kind of like ghost stories, paranormal experiences, just very interesting things that can't really be explained. So it's gonna be called The Unexplainables.
That's a pretty good name.
Yeah.
That's yeah, that's pretty good. I like that. Now is this going to be like a once a week thing, a once a month thing, a once a day thing? Like how often are you thinking about promoting content?
It'll probably be once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. It kind of just depends on how soon I can generate content for
And
it.
you're hoping to have the first episode or so up by Halloween.
Yes.
Okay. And do you know what formats you're thinking about putting it out on right
So right now I'm looking into putting it on Spotify and maybe doing live streams on Twitch just to like get it promoted.
now? Okay. Okay. No, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, when you actually get a little bit closer to the thing, we'll be happy to hand you a following the government to get a patent on it. I now own the unexplainables. Get out of here. Get out of here. That's Vera Cochin from remote right now. So no, we'll be happy to throw you a sponsorship. We'll let you come on occasionally, maybe plug your show. Um, because I think it's really cool. I like to see it anytime anyone takes interest in making some content in the world that is interesting and entertaining and does not promote like negativity and things like that. And me and Vera Coach, honestly, we that's one of the things like we really strive for on the show is to not be. There's so much negative in the world, so we don't sit here and bash even on like actors and stuff that we don't like. Like we just don't really do that. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think that's cool. So Halloween,
Yeah.
the Unexplainables podcast, Spotify, maybe Twitch. You're not sure. You're still kind of working out all the
Yeah.
details. Um, you don't have to worry about the chat. Only the people that are in my channel can see what he's saying. So, new new host, please. Well, I guess in like kind of news, I think everyone kind of knows the big stinker of news this a couple days ago was Chadwick Boseman. He passed away from cancer. Um, it was pretty much like a hit in the gut, I think, to a lot of people because he's meant so much to so many different types of people. Um, Not just in nerd culture with the Marvel universe and his portrayal of the Black Panther. Hey, thanks for the like, Trudy. Welcome back to the show. Um, but also, I mean, he's played some other like really legendary characters on film. I mean, including James Brown. I mean, so
Right, and his new movie actually just came out before movie theaters shut down 21 Bridges,
yeah, and I
which
heard it was solid.
really good. A lot of
Heard it
people
was
really
solid.
liked it.
But yeah, I mean, so all of us at those two nerds, uh, we definitely it sucks. I
Yeah.
mean, and to think that he had been suffering through this.
Right, for the last 4 years, like during all these huge like blockbuster movies, and was it even known? Like I had never heard anything
It
about
had
him even having a
I don't
diagnosis at
think
all.
he made it like super public.
You know. Because colon cancer is one of those cancers that is like normally pretty curable.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why I didn't go public with it, perhaps. I don't know.
Well, I know that, and this is kind of like one of those things I was talking about with the positivity and negativity in the
Right.
online world, is that he lost a lot of weight.
Yeah,
And
he looked kind of sick in April.
and they were, there's a lot of people talking about how skinny he was and like he's not taking care of himself. And I mean, he was cancer.
Yeah,
I
like,
mean,
you literally have no idea what's going on in
you have
people's
no
lives.
idea. So don't bash people. Like, I don't understand that. All right, we're gonna catch up on comments here. So let's see. Buckshot says this is way better than Vera Coach. Jay Kidwell comes in and says she's definitely better looking. Seti Chomper, the guest host is pretty cool. You go, girl. So yeah, I
We
mean,
need to kick Aaron Amira Coach off the show.
a lot of people know him by that. So I mean, thanks everybody for tuning in. Like, this is a pretty strong showing right away.
The thumbnail.
Because you're in the thumbnail. So how long have you been wanting to come on the show?
Probably since I think was it what did she go by? Hannah? Was it when Hannah was on the show? She was a guest on the show, and I was like, wow, I didn't get even asked.
We never had Hannah on the show.
We never had Hannah.
Sorta. We streamed Man of Medan, and the footage of that has been lost to the ages. It doesn't even exist anymore.
Oh,
So yeah, that was Magzilla and Hannah, and it's like, all right, because it was like boring. And it's not that the stream was boring.
right.
It was boring.
I also plugged the show,
Yeah.
so
you have kind of felt this jealous twang since episode.
a little bit, yeah.
So this is episode 57, I believe, and well, we made it a reality. We're at 8 viewers, but
Oh, awesome.
so we actually have more viewers today than we've had in the last probably like 2 months. And I think that is because we're mixing it up a little bit. So I may have to kick him off the show. This might have to be
I didn't get the thing.
might have to be a regular thing, or we're going to get you back on the show. I think that's really good. Now we've only honestly, other than the weird little podcast stream with Man of Medan, we've had one actual guest come on,
That was true.
and that was Trudy.
Right.
She's been supporting us, I think, since she even knew that the show existed. So the chat today is very lively.
I think you could have changed the title to Firing Vera Coach.
We fired him. He's gone. Like, I'm streaming on his channel right now. He's not even there, guys. You guys got baited, is what you call that. So now, exactly what is your experience in nerd culture? What would qualify you to feel like you can be on the show?
Well, I started playing Magic when I was in like the 3rd grade. So
That's true.
that helps. I've always kind of stayed up to date in it. I also play SpongeBob Bikini Bottom, so I think I'm pretty immersed in the culture.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
And so we're we the last time we had a guest on, Vera Coach replaced 10 minutes in. Nice. So the last time we had a guest on, we asked them a bunch of questions or whatever. But I feel like that's not really going to work with you because, I mean, you grew up with me
right.
and your dad and Vera Coach, and like you have been surrounded by nerd culture your entire life. So we'll just go into like straight things. Captain America: Civil War. Which side did you take in the Civil War? Were you Team Tony or were you Team Steve?
Okay, so I get really interesting about this because I feel like Steve was a little bit sympathetic about how upset Tony would have been, just because the dude killed his dad and now he's like, all right, this is my best friend, I love him, and a lot of people actually ship them together, which is really interesting. They think that Bucky and Steve are dating, but anyway.
So I mean, but when you went into the movie not knowing that the Winter Soldier had murdered Tony's parents, spoiler alert, sorry, but that movie's pretty old now. So who were you like? Were you the same when you went in as you were when you left?
No, because I think at first I was like, well, this dude's kind of like Iron Man or Tony. He was kind of like, I was like, maybe he's overreacting. Like, maybe this shouldn't be something that he's, like, so upset about. But then after seeing all the evidence, I was like, man, I would have been upset, too. So, can you imagine if someone killed your family? And then you're like, this dude killed my family. And I would think that Steve and Tony were pretty good friends up until this moment.
Yeah.
Because that kind of like arch nemesis kind of feeling like was carried in. I even think the last movie, like they were kind of in the same room with each other, and I was like, oh my.
Soccer Mommy says, "Watch what you say, Team Tony," and Buckshot says, "Team Cap." So I mean, even our audience is
Right,
like
it's like divided.
divided on this.
I mean, can you imagine if you're best friends with like this person? Like, let's say my best friend killed your dad. I mean, I wouldn't be too like friendly with you either.
But I mean, there was extenuating circumstances. Though.
Right, and
It's not that he was completely in control of his actions.
Whatever. I don't really remember the full circumstances of why he was, but still, I was like,
Mind control.
but for like Steve to not even be a little bit understanding as to why Tony would have been upset. He's like, dude, like this is mind control. He's like, yeah, but my dad's dead. Like,
he's like, mind control. Here's my Iron Man suit.
I mean, I thought it was a really cool movie. I love the fight scene though. That's like the coolest thing I've ever watched.
So going in, you were more pro Steve.
Like have a side. I was just kind of like, like what's happening.
Well, I mean, but that's kind of cool.
Right.
I mean, so I know that you have not watched all of the Marvel movies. I know you've seen probably most of them. You're missing a couple. Just a couple.
Probably big ones.
So who out of the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe, out of all the films, which one is your favorite?
Okay. My favorite.
The ones that you've personally seen. I mean, you can't judge something you've never.
Silver Surfer.
Silver Surfer.
Not Silver, Soul Silver. Not Soul Silver.
Silver Surfer.
No. What's the one dude's name? It's like Quicksilver.
The one with Quicksilver.
Yes, because I thought that scene was so cool.
You're talking about the X-Men?
No, he was in one of the movies.
Yeah, he was. He was in the X-Men.
I like those two siblings, Scarlet Witch and.
Okay, so you like the Age of Ultron.
Yeah, because I like the scene where he's just kind of like.
Oh, we gotta share. Look at that.
I like when he's like running around. I just thought that's the coolest scene I think I've ever seen in like the entire like.
Are you sure that we're talking about the right movie? Okay, because it gets confusing because
he died.
Okay,
right?
He does in that movie.
But doesn't he do something? No, wait.
Quicksilver's in the X-Men also.
I'm thinking about that Magneto.
So
about when they killed Magneto.
Yeah, so I'm thinking you might be thinking of the part where he like ran around and like everything was like in slow motion.
Yeah, that's the coolest.
That's actually the X-Men franchise.
Well,
but that character is in both movies.
I'm so disappointed when he died because I thought he was so cool from the X-Men. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Okay, it's the same character, but it's not.
I also really like the Scarlet Witch though. I think she's the coolest person ever. And
she's super.
I like the animation that they kind of merged. I think the animations with her powers and Doctor Strange's powers, and I like both of the ways that those were set up.
She's out of all the Avengers that are currently there. I mean, other than Hulk.
I think she's so cool.
I love the Hulk. I do. He's one of my all-time favorites. I think Scarlet Witch is probably my favorite.
So cool.
She's super super cool, and she's I think probably the most powerful next to maybe Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Because of her powers. We're at 10 viewers right now.
Wow, I'm so cool.
So yeah, in that one scene, have you seen Endgame?
Yes.
So the scene where she's like fighting Thanos and
right, that was sweet.
She could have actually killed him. And he knew that. That's why he fired on his own people to get her to stop killing.
And she was so angry.
Yeah.
And rightfully so, because I mean her boyfriend was dead.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, she just went off.
So all right, so you liked the movies with Quicksilver.
I did, but it was only one, I think.
Well, he was in Age of Ultron, and then he was in you're talking about the X-Men movies, which they're related, but they're not related.
Right.
And there's no wrong. I liked the movies with Quicksilver in the X-Men franchise too. I thought they were really, really, really good. Love Doctor Strange. He's my favorite. Thanks for the input back there. Soccer Mommy definitely is whack. Oh, okay.
I had never actually saw Doctor Strange until like a year ago.
So
just
cool.
like that first scene was
so cool. I don't know why he's so. I don't know. Like he's just fascinating, right?
Right.
I've loved Doctor Strange since probably I've read there was like this collected volume of books. They were all like reprint issues, and they had like the first appearances of a lot of Marvel heroes. And I read I think it was Tales of Fantasy or Strange Tales, something like that. It was from like the 50s or the 60s. Right. And I was like, who is this guy? This guy is cool. He's got a cool cape,
right.
And he does magic.
And
that's
he's a
cool.
doctor. He's so smart.
Super cool, right? Let's see, Thanos versus I think that Scarlet Witch was one of the best piece of dialogue in that movie.
Right. I thought it was just such a cool like dynamic. Yeah. I think that was like one of the coolest cinema shots in the thing. What's really interesting as I was thinking about that is like on the subject of Chadwick Boseman, like when they're all on Wakanda, right? They're on the island, and then all of those heroes come in out of nowhere. And then when you go and watch a Star Wars movie like 6 months later,
They
and
totally
it's
ripped
like
it off.
the same scene with all the ships coming in,
But just
it's
like,
done as
but like not as cool and
no,
not as dramatic.
Sometimes I amaze even myself.
Oh my God, we got star donations today. That's money.
oh.
You made $2 today. Thanks for the stars donation, Janet. We appreciate it. All the money that we've collected so far will be going to upgrading the new studio, buying new lights, cameras, and all that really cool stuff.
You should always be on the show. I'm gonna use shares, follows.
Yeah, this is
See?
really positive. So last week on the show we talked a lot about Batman. We watched the new Batman trailer. So out of all the people who have ever been in the movies to do Batman, who's your favorite Batman?
I don't think I've seen enough Batman movies to be qualified for this question.
Okay, that's fair.
Because the only one that I can actually name, like the two the actors' names that I actually know. Wait, maybe I know 3. I don't know. I will say my favorite Batman movie was the one with Poison Ivy in it, Batman Returns or whatever.
You know, everyone hates that movie.
Love that movie. I it's the coolest thing ever. Because we used to camp on our tent. We used to watch it in like
hey,
3D.
I
I
love
love the
it.
actor who plays Poison Ivy. I just loved it.
Uma Thurman.
Yeah, it was so cool. But
Okay, so
the only other 2 actors that I can name is Christian Bale, and I don't even know which one he was in.
he's in the all of the Dark Knight trilogy.
I did like that one.
Okay, so you like those?
But
Okay.
Christian Bale kind of freaks me out now. So
Yeah, he's kind of intense. He's like an
Yeah,
intense
he's a
guy.
really intense actor, and I don't think
Okay, so you liked the kind of campy.
the cheesy one.
So how do we feel about Adam West Batman? He plays on like the 1960s TV show. I got a cheer.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know either, but thanks.
No,
I haven't seen that icon before, so
You know, I'm gonna go off the wall here. I really like the Gotham TV show. I like the
Okay.
kid who played Bruce Wayne.
yeah.
I loved the what was his name? Who played the Detective Gordon. I just loved everything about the Gotham show and all the casting that they did for that. So I
Okay.
think that's probably
Have
one
you
that-
watched the 60s TV show with
No.
it's like really campy and when they punch guys like Bam and Pow.
No, I don't think I have.
Oh, it's so good. I mean he's like probably my second favorite Batman. I'm a big fan of Michael Keaton,
I
honestly.
just know that everyone hated George Clooney.
Well he was in the one no, Val Kilmer was in the one that you liked.
Oh, okay,
I
yeah.
think.
So I like that one.
I think, is that right?
I don't know.
I get them confused. Like the second one or like okay, so Batman Returns and Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. I always get confused. I know Mr.
Yeah.
Freeze was in Batman
Was that the one with Poison Ivy
but I
too?
don't remember if Poison Ivy was in that
I
one.
like the Mr. Freeze one too. But isn't Mr. Freeze Arnold Schwarzenegger in that one? Or am I
Yeah,
completely-
Arnold Schwarzenegger played Mr.
Yeah.
Freeze. So you got to really watch the old '60s show. Like if you like that kind of campy, like the Batman and Robin, you love it
Well,
because
according, we
it's
actually
terrible.
own the collection.
It was on sale like a couple weeks ago. I
So
told you
we own
about
the
it.
collection.
I said you got to get this, dude. It's $20. It's like all 150 episodes or something, and that's a good deal for that show. I mean, if you like that kind of stuff, so I turn it on at nighttime and I watch it. It's...
But I loved Gotham.
awesome.
Like I just thought it was a really good representation of just.
Did you finish Gotham?
I don't think I ever finished it, but I got pretty far into it. I think I was only 1 season left. But I love the actor who played Catwoman too. I think she's so cool. I think her name was Cameron something. I don't remember.
I can't remember her name, but I think she did. I think she did a
But
fantastic
she was
job.
great. I think all the actors in there.
I think homework. Watch the 120 episodes of classic Batman. It's really good. They're only like half-hour shows, so they're like it's like 25 minutes. But it's awesome.
Right.
So yeah, but back to Gotham. I liked the show probably the first couple of seasons, but it kind of went like off the rails, I think, a little bit. But I feel like the final season and the final 2 seasons, they really drove it home.
Right, I just loved everything about the casting there. I think the guy who plays Penguin was perfect for that role. I can't imagine anyone else playing Penguin, honestly. I think he was like the weird. He was.
You
weird
never
enough.
watched Danny DeVito play the Penguin?
No.
Oh man, you got to go home and watch
Okay,
that.
but I love Gotham. I like their casting. I love the dude who played the Riddler. I thought that was one of the like coolest castings I've ever
I won't
seen.
lie to you. The Danny DeVito as the Penguin. Anytime I hear the Penguin, that's who I picture as the Penguin. But Danny DeVito is amazing.
Right, he's a really good actor.
He's so good, and like he didn't come to this like, oh, this is gonna be like some campy
right.
thing. Like he went in like 100% and gave it his all, and like he gives a really good
I
performance.
just feel like Danny DeVito's reputation, as he's become more of a meme and like was in the Eminem commercials and stuff, you almost discount the rest of his acting career. Like when I think of Danny DeVito, I don't even think of his acting career at all. I think of the Eminem commercial.
But I love him. I mean,
Right,
he's
and-
so good in Sunny. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. That, and if you've never watched that, you should. It's hilarious. It's a great show. But I guess we're gonna kind of getting sidetracked. But yeah, Danny DeVito, we love him. Michael Keaton is personally my favorite Batman. And if you haven't watched those, like if you've seen Batman and Robin, you should go back and watch the other ones.
Right.
I mean,
Classic and Taxi.
yeah, he was in the TV show Taxi.
No, I think Danny DeVito's cool. I just think, and I think that he kind of takes his like representation in meme culture as like a tribute. Like I think he loves it.
Well, you got to look at the guy, right? He knew that he was never going to be like a leading man
Right.
because he just doesn't have the look, and that's no offense to him. He's not tall.
Right.
He's not like in shape, and he's not a very good-looking guy. But when he does a part, he goes out and he gives it like 110%. He knocks it out of the park. Like he's amazing. So characters like that, that's who I like to see in films. I mean, Samuel L. Jackson was another guy that he was like one of those characters. He's called a character actor. No one knew who he was, but you're like, man, that guy's been in everything. And it wasn't really until Pulp Fiction in '94, I think he was almost 40 then. He might have been in his 40s when that movie came out, that they were like, man, this guy's a really good actor. Maybe we should start giving him some stuff.
Right. And now he's in like everything.
He's in everything.
Like, big pictures.
And he's great. He's fantastic.
Right.
But character actors are really what Hollywood, I think, overlooks sometimes because they make those background characters come to life, and you're like, that guy has been in probably 100 movies, but what's his name? I don't know his name.
Yeah, and all those people, like, I feel like another thing that we discredit is people who are character actors. Most of the time, like, get so into their character that they live like their character. Like, Joaquin Phoenix, is that his name?
Yeah.
Like, when he literally lost, like, how many pounds for the Joker movie?
Which
I mean, he looks amazing in that
That was
movie. I
such
mean,
a good
it was such a good movie. I loved it. I loved it so much.
So, speaking, because you've seen Joker,
Yeah.
what do you want them to do with that film franchise? Do you want them to try and tie it into some of the other stuff, or do you kind of want them to leave it its own
Like
thing?
it as a standalone film because it's not like any other film I think they've ever put out in like the Batman. I mean, there's no mention.
It doesn't feel like a superhero movie
It
at
didn't
all.
really mention Batman if I remember correctly. Like it was just about his deraveling and just kind of just like him spiraling further and further down. And I loved everything about that movie. I thought it was so good.
Rob Pattinson.
I think he is going to be so good. Because I feel like, okay, he did Twilight, but he was kind of good in Twilight. Like, I mean, he gave it his all, and he almost did Twilight as a jump start because Twilight was such a big franchise, just like in the books, and she just put out another book, which is giving him even more publicity right now because everyone's rewatching the Twilight movies.
Well, Buckshot is saying so bad,
Whatever.
but he's going to be great.
He's gonna be so good. I think he's a really good actor. I've seen him in some other things, I think, like besides Twilight, and
Well,
I
I
just think
mean,
he's good.
he did the Twilight movies, and he was in the Harry Potter franchise for a
Right,
couple of
and
films.
I think he was funny as Cedric. I think that was hilarious.
Well, I mean, he came in and he's like, I did Twilight. I didn't really want all the fame.
Yeah.
And basically, I did Twilight so I could do the other movies that I wanted.
Right, and I agree that Twilight could have been a very good movie franchise, but then they did I think okay, not to be mean to Kristen Stewart, but she's kind of like Debbie Ryan, where she makes those weird faces all the time, and she's just I just think it's hilarious. Like Debbie Ryan's like,
I think that the movies were okay. I honestly felt like they got better as they went on.
oh yeah,
The first one was kind of like, eh. But, they got better, I think, as they went on. And I don't think that he did a bad job. I kind of think that sometimes you can have talented people in roles and you can only do so much because
the rest of the actors aren't.
it's not
on the
even
same
that.
level.
It's also like
The
the
story.
script and the director that's directing you and the writing in the movie and the dialogue.
I mean, that dude was a meme for so long with the sparkly vampire.
I'm
and
ready
all
for
that
sparkly.
stuff.
I'm ready for sparkly Batman. I am. He just seems too clean cut to me. I like the darker Batman.
Okay, but they also
You think
need
he's
to
gonna
bring
surprise you?
They need to bring someone new into the role though, because I mean George Clooney's done so many things that I don't want to see him as Batman. I
Well,
want to see someone cool as Batman. You know?
from the movie, and again, we don't know a lot about it right now. The only thing we know for sure is that the Riddler is in it. We know the Penguin
I'm
is
so
in it.
excited. I love
Penguin is in it too. We know the Catwoman is in it, and we know that he's in it. But the movie kind of looked like it had a Hush or a Year One vibe. And if it's a Year One vibe, I'm cool with that because that's before Batman was really badass. Like he's a badass, but he's not a badass yet.
If I
you know?
was a young heterosexual woman, I would probably love him.
But he was great in that movie. I cannot remember the name of it, where he played a fighter pilot in I think it was World War One. Maybe he was really great in that movie.
Naps on the Moon is asking about the lighthouse.
I have not seen that.
Is that's a horror movie? I think think. I don't know. I've never seen it.
What is the lighthouse? Naps on the moon. But as far as like, he needs a darker Batman. I didn't need a darker Batman when Adam West was playing Batman. I mean, but I think he's going to do fine. I really do.
See, one thing that we've talked about a lot is I think an all-around good Batman can play both Bruce Wayne and Batman.
That's the hard part.
And that's the thing, because it's two completely different, like, characters.
They are. Batman
I mean,
is completely different. than
Batman
Bruce
is, like,
Wayne.
vengeful, he's mad, and, like, all this stuff, and he's, like, just kind of, he's like a vigilante, essentially. He's, like, an accepted vigilante.
Yeah.
But then Bruce Wayne is, like, this, like, higher-up dude who's just trying to control his parents' estates,
Yeah.
you know?
And he's like running a business, and he has he has to be so completely different so that no one can ever figure out
Right,
that they're the same person.
right.
So like when he gets hurt, he has to say, "Oh, I was out skiing and I
Right.
fell down a mountain."
You know,
And-
it's my private resort.
And it's hard for him to like. He can't date because he's not home at nighttime. He's out in his Batmobile beating up criminals. So, like leading that double life, it's difficult. And honestly, I don't feel that any actor. This is going to be very controversial. What I'm about to say. I don't feel that any actor has nailed both roles 100%. The Batman and the Bruce Wayne. We've had a lot of really good Bruce Waynes.
Yeah.
We've had a couple of good Batmans, but no one I feel that was good at both.
Would have loved to see the Gotham Kid as Batman, like more.
I
I think he was such a
agree.
good Bruce Wayne. I loved him. I love that movie. So not movie, TV show.
It's such a it was a cool show. A lot of the comic people were a little bit upset, like fans, but I liked it because it was kind of its own thing.
So apparently, The Lighthouse is a horror movie that stars Robert Pattinson.
I'm gonna have to check this out.
Unsettling and he was spooky. I think he's kind of creepy looking in general. Like, no offense to him, but like, he kind of creeps me out.
Tom Cruise would have been a great 10 years ago as Batman. I'm gonna have to disagree.
Yeah,
I feel like he totally could nail the Bruce Wayne part, no problem. But he's like 5'3", and that was
intimidating too.
that's my issue with. I don't. He's badass in the Mission Impossible movie,
Right.
100% badass. I'm not saying that he's not, but I don't know. Like as Batman, no. I'm
Just
sorry, I
like he
can't.
said that, dude, I could literally be Batman. I'm massive.
She's so funny. She's one of my favorite people. I say, like, give her like 2 or 3 more months of training, and she'll be
Right,
beating up her
yeah,
brothers.
yeah, I mean, she could kill me. I mean, it's
Oh,
just being ass.
she's
I mean, I have the upper body strength of a caterpillar, so that's it. That's
she's
it.
she's an absolute she is a delight though.
You've really consistent viewing.
Yeah, this has been
Training.
this has been good. You brought fans with you, so thanks for that. So, but I mean, as far as Batman, I don't know. Like again, I don't think anyone's nailed it like 100%.
They're making way too many Batman movies. I feel like it's kind of.
Nah.
I'd like to see.
Everybody loves Batman.
I think one of the really bad things about the film industry right now is I'm not seeing a lot of new ideas. It's just a lot of sequels. I don't want to see a sequel. I've already seen the story,
Welcome to the last 50 years of cinema.
and it sucks.
And this is not a new concept. A lot of people think this is like, oh, they just don't have any ideas.
Why can't they make a new Batman villain? Like, why can't they do that? Why can't they just introduce a new cool dude?
A new Batman villain?
Yeah. Like, why can't they just use other characters?
Because they use the characters to sell comic books.
I know, but like, make a new comic book. Make.
But I have to say that Marvel has been pretty bold in their
Right.
approach to it because
Movies are excellent.
if you would have talked, I don't know, even go back to 2008 before Iron Man came out, unless you read comic books, if I said, "Hey, who's Iron Man?" you'd have been like,
Right.
"I don't know.
And like,
I think he has a suit or something."
Right.
You might, or who's Thor? You mean like the god? You
I have
didn't
no
know who
idea.
he was. You know what I mean? Like, so they took characters that weren't their A-listers because unfortunately they sold the rights to a lot of their A-listers
Right.
to these other movie studios, and they had to come in with characters that they felt were at least interesting, but maybe that not everyone had heard of.
See, I want to see a Ghost Rider movie.
They had 2 of them and they sucked.
Yeah, and then like, when was the last time Poison Ivy was featured in a Batman movie?
I
And I think she'd be so cool today.
I thought she was supposed to be in Birds of Prey.
Yeah,
That's what I heard,
Birds of Prey. Yeah,
but
she came out just before the movie. came
she
out,
was
too.
she wasn't. Which that I'd love to see Harley and Poison Ivy kind of go.
I
on
think
a-
that'd be so cool.
I think that would be cool.
And I think they're doing a lot of cool things with Harley Quinn's character right now, kind of developing her outside of the Joker. You know?
Is this Raid Shadow Legends? When are you playing it? I don't know what Shadow Legends is. Isn't that like a VR game? I think.
The biggest problem is they just keep using the same 2 to 3 villains in Batman. See, that's kind of why I think I like Joker, because it had nothing to do with Batman.
Yeah,
But it
but
was a really cool film alone.
well, that's why I think that Marvel is taking bigger chances.
Yeah.
Because up until the film came
I mean,
out,
I
did you know
never-
who the Guardians of the Galaxy were? I mean, really?
No, and
Had
I
you
knew,
ever heard
I
of
knew
them?
who Thanos was.
Okay, yeah.
Like,
I knew.
See?
Raid Shadow Legends. Okay, this sounds like spam. So we're gonna take care of spam boy here. You can keep talking.
oh, so
Yuck. There you
see,
go.
I think Poison Ivy would be such a cool one. I think, and again, like what you said with Harley Quinn, I think that Harley Quinn is a cool character outside of the Joker, even.
Yeah,
'Cause she
I think
kinda-
she's fascinating.
And I
enough.
think it was cool. Like, obviously, Justice League wasn't like the best movie in the world, but like they kind of developed like why she became insane and how she got with the Joker. But now I feel like they can kind of develop her in her own thing.
Well, it was interesting because they did a whole movie with her, and the Joker is mentioned.
Right.
He's never seen,
But he's not.
and he's not in it.
He's not the main thing.
And they,
I'm tired of hearing about the Joker.
I think that the Joker is fine, but I also think that some other characters need to get some spotlight too.
And like, I don't know.
I mean, they're still
This
doing
is-
Joker stories, right? So I just read the new first book of the 3 Joker series. It's brilliant, by the way. I won't give any spoilers, but spoiler alert, it's good. But yeah, I mean, as far as films and TV, I don't know. They've taken some characters and put them as like these and characters that aren't as important. Like Scarecrow was like a backdrop character in the new Dark Knight trilogy, and Riddler. They said a long time ago that Riddler is just not interesting enough to
I
make
think
stories
the
about him.
Riddler's so interesting.
He's so fascinating.
Like, I don't know. That's why I liked Gotham so much, because I'd never really seen the Riddler come to life, really.
So they need to. I agree. He has a ton of characters that they could even pick someone really off the wall like
Yeah.
Clayface. You don't know who that is, but I know who that is. And basically, he's a shapeshifter. He can change himself into anything he wants. He can look like anybody he wants to. He can turn his hands into like weapons. And first of all, the CGI in that would be really cool. But they could have him as a character. He's interesting enough. You know, like he's 100% interesting enough that they could maybe not a whole movie, but definitely put him in there.
Right.
It's kind of like I think you get stuck on this whole. You keep reusing the same thing,
Right.
and it's like people are like, if I have to watch Bruce Wayne's parents get shot one more time, like I don't need another Batman origin story. We know how Batman became Batman.
Yeah, why can't Batman I want new villains. I want new ones. I do. I just think that'd be so cool.
He's got a ton of characters.
Yeah, Batman has so many
You've
villains.
never
It
seen,
makes
and
it
they're
so cool.
all really cool. The Clock
Right.
King, Clayface, Killer Croc was in the Suicide Squad.
Right, I remember that.
He's got the guy that Scarface, and the ventriloquist. So Scarface is a little puppet, and the ventriloquist like controls him, but it's like a split personality,
Right.
and he's like a mob boss. Like he's really fascinating. I thought it was a really bold move to go with Black Mask in the Birds of Prey movie because no one knew who that was.
Right, but I don't know. I just think it's more interesting when you like, who's this dude?
I agree.
What's this dude?
Let-
gonna do?
I mean, if
You know
you
what the Joker's
if
gonna
you
do?
want to have like at the beginning of the movie, like him beating up Joker and throwing him in
Yeah.
Arkham again, cool.
Yeah.
To get people in the seats, that's fine. But then it goes off in its own little thing, and I think that's interesting.
Right, and I just think that like the thing is like, I mean, when you see a movie and the headline or the poster is like picture of Batman, a picture of Joker, you're gonna go see it.
Well, yeah,
You
you're
know
gonna see
what's
it.
gonna happen.
You already know what's gonna
But
happen.
if you see like Batman, new villain, you're gonna be like, oh well, who's this dude? And then you're gonna try to research it. You have no idea what this dude is. Like, there's no wiki page or anything.
But there is, but you've never seen it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Or even if they came up with like an entirely new character, you'd be like, you know.
Even though they made Mr. Freeze and Batman and Robin like a really campy character, his new origin story is very interesting. That he basically is doing all this for his wife. He could be a whole character that they could do a whole movie about. That he's never been like a spotlight character.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, no offense to Arnold, his portrayal was fine. It was kind of cheesy, but I think that if you want to keep in that more realistic, dark tone, because that's really what the comics have become now.
Right.
Batman is dark. Like
Right.
the new Batman comics are not like the Batman comics even when I was reading them. And it was because we had just transgressed from, the 60s where everything was all campy to the 70s where it's a little edgier. And by the 80s, like now he's chasing serial killers.
You're also allowed to show more on television
Way
and in
more.
film as timeline has progressed. I mean, now, if you
Way
think about the
more.
stuff that's on TV, like they're allowed to pretty much show anything on
Almost.
TV. I mean,
I can't believe some of the stuff that's actually on
yeah,
TV now.
I know. I mean, I've personally never seen Game of Thrones, but I know there's a lot of very interesting things.
That's
in
cable.
that one, and I mean, you can watch that on TV.
But I mean, it's cable. It's not like you're gonna get that in
Right.
your basic TV.
But
But
still, I mean, just like
but Gotham was on basic TV,
right, and like
and that was pretty violent.
a lot of gory stuff. I mean, you would have never been able to show half of these shows that we see now in like the 60s or maybe even the 70s. It would have been really interesting to see that stuff.
It fascinates me because shows like Game of Thrones and The Walking Dead,
Yeah.
they're interesting shows all on their own. But what I thought was interesting about Game of Thrones is where it went from. Now I know you haven't seen it,
No,
but
I haven't.
I'm basically going to tell you that almost every week there was some kind of like nudity thing
Right.
going on,
Yeah.
and it was violent, right? By the time that the show progressed past like the third season, you saw a lot less of that and more focus on the actual story because they got people in with like, hey, this is like a mature show, and you're gonna see boobs, right?
Right.
You're gonna see that. There might be some
Which is-
waivers,
They're advertising.
but they didn't see that. But everyone's like, man, that last night that girl was. But there was wieners on the show too. They were not biased and only showed the ladies. They showed the dudes too. But then people kind of said, man, there's a good story going on here. Can you show less of that other stuff? We want to see more about the conflicts and the wars and the fighting and the characters.
So they almost use like sex as like an advertising thing, which I think they do in a lot of kind
They
of
do.
horror movies now. Because one that I've noticed is they had Megan Fox in Jennifer's Body, and on the picture it looks like the wackest thing you've
Have
ever
you seen it?
No, but I know the general plot line.
It's brilliant. I'm sorry.
Like high school kids.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with like,
I loved it.
and it's called Jennifer's Body.
I
So
loved it.
And Megan Fox was on the cover.
It's
and
so
you're-
terrible. It's
and
so
you
bad.
just, like, you were like, oh, this is gonna be like a really weird movie, and I'm gonna see Megan Fox, maybe nude.
It was PG-13. You're not going to.
It's kind of interesting.
I mean, if you remember when the Transformers movies came out, like they used her sex appeal to sell
Right.
tickets, and it worked. Like Transformers was huge, and everyone's like, "Man, now I want to hang out with that Megan Fox." And I don't think that she's a terrible actress. I think that she's just who she is, and
Yeah.
that's fine. She's not going to probably win an Oscar anytime soon, and
Right.
that's because no one's casting her in roles where people would take her seriously. That's not any offense to her. She's got way more success and fame and money than I'm ever going to
Yeah.
have, so I'm not going to say she's a terrible
Well,
person.
keep coming on the show because your viewers just keep going out. Maybe you'll be famous by the time I'm done.
Maybe. But it's, in the case of Jennifer's Body, it's campy and it's terrible and it's cheesy, but it's really entertaining.
Right.
By the way, I think it's only PG-13.
Yeah, it's not. I mean,
So you don't see her boobs.
it just looks
doesn't
really
happen.
interesting,
It was really interesting.
right? And Panic at the Disco has a song in there, and I love them. So
So it looks like the movie theaters and stuff are starting to slowly open back up.
yeah, the one actually here locally just opened up a couple weekends ago, and right now they're actually showing old movies. Like right now, Harry Potter: Sorcerers of Stone is in at Cinemark.
Did they get the New Mutants?
They got I don't know. I
They're
actually
calling it the worst of the X-Men franchise.
Oh,
which I just watched Dark Phoenix. I don't know. It'd be pretty hard to
I-
bottom out past that.
that people have been saying to see. I don't. Oh gosh, I can't remember what it's called now, but a lot of people have liked it. I have the Cinemark app like on my phone because I used to work there, so I was like, but they just went saw it. I have no idea what it's called. But they're showing like Endgame again. They're showing Star Wars. They're showing Sorcerers of Stone, which is really interesting and it's all discounted to get business back.
I think it would be really hard to say, all right, why don't I charge you $15 to
Right.
watch a movie that you already own on
It's
DVD?
just going to be so cool to go see in the movie theater.
I didn't see the first 3 Harry Potters in the movie theater. I watched the rest of them in the movie theater though.
But I love the Harry Potter franchise. I still
think-
love it.
I think they've been like the most consistent as far as, I mean, yeah, the books are better.
Yeah,
But
the books are. But I think
they're pretty
I
good.
think the last couple movies were amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, just absolutely great.
Well, it was funny because when we went to go see Deathly Hollows Part 1, I had already seen it. So when I was working at Spencer's, one of my coworkers was like, hey, man, you're into Harry Potter. Let's go watch it. I was like, well, have you watched any of the movies? He goes, no.
It's kind of important.
He said, no, I haven't. He's like, I just want to go out. I was like, well, I feel like you don't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
You've missed the other like movies. He's like, it's cool. You can kind of catch me up. I was like,
Right.
you want me to catch you up
You know,
on
just about 6 movies.
6 movies happened before this? He's like, yeah. He's like, no, I'll catch up.
I think my favorite development of the Harry Potter stories, which really made the last couple books interesting, was the 7 Horcruxes. And then, like, that little symbol thing, the little triangle with the circle. I mean, they just did so much development on that.
The Deathly Hollows.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was called. I mean, I read all the books when I was in, like, the 5th grade. Like, I mean, I don't have that good of comprehension.
But the thing that was really fun about it was he had only watched I think part of one of I think it was Chamber of Secrets, or maybe it was the third ring. The first movie that Dobby was in.
I love Dobby.
So he knew who Dobby was. So when you come into Deathly Hollow, spoiler alert, they're at Dobby's funeral.
Right.
And he's like super upset. He's like, Dobby's dead?
I'm sorry, this is
I'm like, you missed like 6 movies. I told you you don't know what's going on. And he's like, the only character from the franchise I know, and he's dead?
I think
He was so
so
upset.
many really cool death scenes. I mean, those were the saddest things I've ever watched. And and so like, I mean, there's so many characters died. I loved the one character, Bellatrix. I loved her character. I thought they did her really good. I thought the casting was really good on her.
When I was reading Order of the Phoenix, that's my favorite book in the
Yeah.
series, by the way. It's probably my least favorite of the films, but it's my favorite book.
Right.
I that scene where they're in the Hall of Memories.
Right, and like all those, I thought
That's how I pictured it.
they did so good in the.
That's exactly
yeah,
how I
it's
pictured it
good.
when I was reading. I go, they picked the
They
picture
did-
from my
they did.
brain and they put it in the movie.
See, I can't visualize things in my brain, but I thought they did it really well. I think that when I went back and reread it again, when I reread the books later, I could really picture it with the scene that they did. But I will tell you, my least favorite book, least favorite film, Prisoner of Azkaban, hands down, most boring book I think I've ever read in my life.
It was
The
probably
first like 13 chapters of that book are so bad.
yeah. My least favorite of the books is actually the Deathly Hollows.
I loved
The first half of that book, I felt like I was reading the novelization of the Blair Witch Project, and I liked the Blair Witch Project. I just would never want to read it as a book. So, and maybe it was because I was in a hurry to get through it, so I did kind of skim, and I kind of skimmed through it a lot. But I was just like, they're in the woods, and they're running from people that they can't see, and they're in a tent, I think, and
There's,
they
like,
keep
the big
hearing weird,
spider
creepy
dude.
noises,
Oh,
and I'm like,
I
this
think
is
they did the spider scene so well in the movie.
oh yeah,
I thought that was sweet. I think that they did a really good job. And one thing I think that I don't acknowledge is how good the CGI was in Chamber of
oh yeah,
Secrets for the time.
it's pretty good.
I thought it was good. I loved everything about it.
Well, when you go back to see like when CGI first kind of became a thing, if you want to see some really terrible CGI, go back and watch like Godzilla, not the one with Matthew Broderick, which is terrible by the way. We got more cheers from Frustration Core. Thank you.
I don't know what that means.
I don't even know what that means, but thanks.
I actually don't know what any of this means.
I appreciate it. So yeah, I mean, chat has been active. We've kind of been all over the board today.
Right.
But it's been fun. I think it's been like a pretty good time.
Yeah.
We're probably going to be closing up here in probably like the next 10-ish minutes. So, how's your experience so far on the show been? I know that you were like, I don't know what we're going to talk
Yeah.
about. And then I told you, once you get going, it's really easy. So what do you think?
I think I'm better than Aaron. If you're I think I'm better. I think that, this could be a spin-off show.
So we're going to have another spin-off show. It's going to be called Those Two Nerds Minus Vera Coach. Aaron just lost his job. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, only if you guys keep coming to watch. Like,
Hey,
we can't make her a permanent fixture on the show, and then you guys only show up the first week she's here.
I think I'm funny. I'm entertaining. I forgot. I mean, I've read a lot. I've watched a lot. I mean.
Well, when I asked you your opinions on stuff, you had them.
Oh yeah.
So that that was a plus because a lot of times you get somebody and they don't know what to do. They freeze up. They worry too much about the camera.
Right. I did look at myself a lot though.
You just gotta like not think about it.
No, I think I'm funny.
So it's let's see. So nobody watch until she's back again.
Boycott beer coach. Hashtag boycott beer coach.
All right, so we're gonna plug your upcoming show around Halloween time again.
Yeah.
So what is the basis behind your show again for anybody that might have missed it at the beginning?
So I have always been very interested in crime. I watch a lot of crime TV shows, listen to a lot of crime podcasts. But one of my favorite ones I ever watched was about an unsolved crime. And I actually had to listen to it for my honors English class that I never actually turned in. I never finished it. But I want to do something about things that no one really knows about or can explain, which hence the unexplainables is the title. But another thing that's really interesting is I like to hear about it from the community's perspective. So like, let's say there was an unsolved crime in a community. I want to know like why the people in the community think it was never solved and like what their theories are. And, I think it'd be cool to hear other people's opinions because as much as, like, I think my voice is kind of cool, I don't want to listen to it for 30 minutes. So I think it kind of adds this, like, whole new thing. And I'm
going to give you a piece of advice. How much of your own voice have you listened to recorded?
A lot.
Okay. Are you used to your voice now?
Sure.
Because when I started doing streaming in general, I would go back and like rewatch my streams to make sure that my volume and
you
stuff
almost
was good.
cringe at
And
the
you're
sound
like,
of
I
your
hate
voice.
the sound of my voice now. it actually sounds weird to not hear it coming through the speakers and
Right.
stuff. I hear my voice so much.
But my thing is, I just think it'd be really interesting. I've always kind of wanted to do content, but I don't like making videos. I don't. But it's funny because I like filming short films. Like I
So
do
you've
short
always
films.
been kind of interested in doing some kind of a streaming
Yeah.
thing, but you're not a gamer. Not like
No.
that. Like
I play Minecraft.
like you play games, but
Right.
they're not like a huge.
Right.
It's not like us where we play.
Though I don't know where the market is for SpongeBob Bikini Bottom, but I'm there.
Well, I mean, I can look real quick
I-
on the Twitch.
I mean, I love that game,
People are playing it. I mean,
but no.
well, look, it's probably It's I don't know. There's I think about 1,000 people playing it right now.
Right, but I mean,
So-
compared to like everything else, like Call of Duty probably has like 14 million.
Well, I think it was a bigger deal when it first came out. but-
I love it. I love the game.
So you want to create different kind of content.
Yeah.
I think Twitch is a good platform for that because overall, I mean, there's jerks everywhere you go,
Right.
but I think overall the community on Twitch is very supportive and social networking. I cannot stress this enough. Get out there and be sociable. If you do a podcast or you do a stream, kind of like what we do, then get out there and follow other streamers. Go watch their shows occasionally. That follow is great, but you know what really helps them is if you get on their show occasionally. Not all the time, but
Right.
occasionally, and pop a message in and talk to them, especially when they're first starting out. Because sometimes they're sitting there and no one's watching. And they try to be interactive and talk, but no one's there.
Well, it's really interesting, which is why I'm not really worried about that. No one has to watch me. My stuff, I mean, I don't even think really I'll have comments on that section because it'll almost be like a live recording if I do anything on Twitch. You can just hear the story before it actually goes out anywhere else.
I recommend it. I think that's
So,
it's very fascinating.
I just think, and like we talked about ghost stories and like UFO sightings and just like stuff that can't really be explained, but it can be explained from someone's perspective. And I think it'd just be really interesting to hear other people's experiences with that.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a really interesting show. I listened to a couple. I cannot remember the name of the one. I will send you the link later. But they tried to turn it into a TV show, and I don't think it worked out well. But the podcast itself is very interesting, and it's not just about ghost stories. It's about just general history
Right.
and like really interesting history, but usually like history with kind of like a dark past. And so
Right.
there's definitely like there's a ton of stories out there, right? Everyone has a story.
Well, one of my favorite historical stories that's kind of dark is Carrie A Nation. I mean, she went around during Prohibition and she just absolutely hacksawed every single bar she could see. And her name was Carrie and she changed it to Carrie A Nation. And she was like this huge news story and she got arrested so many times, but because Prohibition was illegal, they actually couldn't arrest her for destruction of property because it wasn't supposed to be there. Like it was illegal to have the property. So I mean, she's allowed to do whatever she wants.
Loophole.
And like when she was in jail, all of these other women who were against like alcohol sales, like just continued to
That is our cousin Jesse.
yes.
We just dropped a thanks for the like,
Well, just, like-
Jesse. Appreciate it, man.
But she just like continued to like make this huge movement during when alcohol was illegal, but she was allowed to destroy this property. And like sometimes they would even take the broken glass and stuff and sell it. Like the bartenders would to get more money because they're like, well, Carrie A Nation, she destroyed this. You want this in your house. And I just thought that was like one of the most interesting pieces of like weird history I've learned.
So, do you have a couple of stories lined up already that you think you want to cover for your first thing? I wouldn't say go ahead and tell us what it is, but I'm just
Right.
wondering how far along in the process you are.
Well, I actually started brainstorming it at my desk like a week ago, and I haven't really thought about it a lot. But one thing that I really liked is his name is Brian Stevenson. He's a lawyer, and he started a nonprofit in Alabama. It's called the EJ, Equal Justice Association, I believe, initiative or something. It's something like that. And he deals a lot with children who were sentenced to death or life, like at a young age. And he just deals a lot with like wrongful convictions and stuff like that. And I just think he'd be really interesting to get some knowledge out of. Especially
Okay.
because I want to be a lawyer. So,
Hey, what's going on, Snosy?
so
So yeah, it's that sounds. I mean, it sounds fascinating to me
Yeah.
personally. I like stuff like that. I
Right.
like history. I'm not knowledgeable enough in history. I'm knowledgeable in like nerd history and
Right.
culture and things like that. So I mean, when we came up with the idea for this show, this was kind of like that episode in How I Met Your Mother where they're like, we should totally own a bar.
right.
Well, we were like, we should do a podcast. And I said, what are we gonna do a podcast on? He's like, we should just get there and just talk about stuff. I'm like,
Okay.
no one
Like,
cares,
right.
you know? But I felt that between his game streaming and my game streaming and like together we kind of have these two very different personalities. And it's weird when we're here because we're not the same here as we are on our shows. And I think that it like I can't wait to see the kind of content that you honestly create. I think
Right.
it's going to be phenomenal.
Right, and I'm really excited because I know I said I don't like to film videos like for like this stuff. Like this would definitely not be something that's up to my speed, but I do like filming in general and I appreciate cinematography and like, I film short films all the time. So it's like it's very interesting. I want to create more content.
So is this kind of what you thought the process was like?
No. I definitely walked over here and I was like, "Oh god, like this is it." Like I'm not going to know what to do at all.
So is it more nerve-wracking than you thought it was going to be?
No, I was definitely freaking out for nothing because,
It's like I said, you just kind of once you start talking, it's really easy.
I don't think I could have led the conversation. I think I would have just sat here. Like,
Should have been like, "What are we talking about? Stop
Yeah.
looking at me." But no, I mean, I appreciate you coming on. This also gives you an opportunity to kind of promote your thing that you're doing, and you're saying
Right.
that's going to be coming out. Your goal is
October 31st.
October 31st
Yeah.
for your show, the Unexplainables.
Right. Yeah.
The Unexplainables coming to Spotify and maybe Twitch,
Maybe something. Who knows?
maybe YouTube. We don't know. So any other input from the users? How is everybody? How did everybody think of our new guest today?
I did great. apparently.
Sadie Chomper said you did great.
Yeah.
I'm
entertaining.
Well, people. Okay, so before we go, a lot of people think that like getting up here and doing this is really easy.
No, I mean just the process before. I mean like.
It's not, because you have to kind of think about what you're even going to start talking about.
Okay.
And I kind of had a couple of ideas. I figured I'd just go over like old stuff that we've already talked about, and then from there, like you feed off of each
It
other.
just kind of took off.
Snosy said you did good for the 2 minutes that he was here.
I tried.
Thanks, Snosy. We appreciate the comments and the input. I mean, we got likes, we got stars today. Frustration
Cheers.
Core.
I don't know what cheers are.
I don't know what
I
cheering
don't know
is, but
any
that
of the
happened
stars
twice. That was cool.
We are canceling Aaron. I appreciate
And
that.
demanding her full time.
I'm telling you, boycott Beer Coach. It can really get you guys trending. Like you might be able to start like this whole thing where you can slander him on your Those Two Nerds account and just
Well,
absolutely.
I'll be honest. We take a lot of the critiques that we get we don't take them personally because we want to try and be better. So if we're putting out content and people are like, "Well, this was kind of dumb," or "We didn't like that," or "We didn't understand that,"
They don't like Beer Coach. That's what I'm saying. They're saying
everyone's saying Vera Coach is out. Is Cheers or bits? Is that like money? Is that like stars on Facebook? Did you give me money? Well, cool.
I mean, I already earned $2 today.
That's awesome. So yeah, it's money. Okay, cool. I didn't know that. I'm not.
You got two.
I just hit affiliate. Like it took me over a year to hit affiliate. I'm not good at streaming. So I mean, yeah, it's hard to get up here and like do this, but
Right.
it's fun.
I mean, you've had consistent viewers the whole time I was here.
Consistent. Like I think some of that helped that your family came in to watch. But again, back to the criticism. Naps on the Moon and her mom, my sister, they said we don't always watch because we don't always know
What's
what you guys
happening?
are talking, so we get bored and we turn it off. So as you can see, we're trying to mix up the format a little bit to where it's a little bit more interactive, and we're trying to talk more about things I think that the general population knows instead of just assuming that you guys know what we're talking about. It was like a couple of times that we did shows about streaming, like how to improve your streaming, and I'm like, dude, no one watches this. We can't go. I was like, we can't keep doing that.
You can't be like, oh yeah, this is how you become a successful streamer.
This is how you become successful.
3 viewers.
With my 4 viewers, and one of them is my mom, and one of them is my dad. You
One
know.
of them's us. One of them's me watching it.
So Soccer Mommy says it should be those 3 nerds. I'd like you to do YouTube videos or podcasts. Y'all can come on mine. Do you have a show? Naps on the Moon. Do you do a podcast? Because like I said, we'll plug you. I mean,
She's one of the most interesting people I know. So I mean, like that's it.
Well, she says she watches, but she says she turns it off sometimes. You can't say that you didn't because you were just at my house. You said that you turn it off sometimes because you said I don't always know what you guys are talking about.
Well, even say that, like, I mean, I appreciate an organized format and like just my thing. But I mean, the only time I ever watched it was a 24-hour stream.
Yeah. So how did you feel about this one? Not just because you were on it.
Oh well,
But
because I was on it. This is the best one.
But this was interesting though, right?
Yeah,
Did you feel interested in the topics?
I feel like we jumped around easier. I feel like we went from one topic to another that like went, pretty.
He tries to push me off my topics sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean,
I love that guy though. There would be no those two nerds without the guy.
Nice to see a female nerd.
It is because a lot of people think that this is just like capped to dudes, and it's not. There's a lot of females,
Yeah.
and in our culture,
Right.
and they are starting to become a lot more widely accepted, and they should be because everyone should like the stuff that we like. I feel,
Right.
and everyone is kind of a nerd about something.
Yeah, someone has something, even if it's not a video game, you know.
Like I've talked to a bunch of people who were like the jockey kids in school, but they collected like Nikes,
Right.
and then they bought every edition of Madden that came out.
Right.
They didn't play any other game, but like you're a dork. You collect Nike shoes and you play Madden. You're a dork.
So
Okay.
everyone has like their own little like niche that they
Everyone.
can get into.
Maybe it's cooking. Maybe it's music. Maybe it's band. Maybe it's whatever. And this is our show is for everybody.
Right. So apparently, Aaron's not as good as I am.
Oh man, he's gonna like probably go home and cry.
He's really getting slandered on his own channel.
He's getting bashed on his own show. But again, we'll have to come up when you get us a graphic or something for your show when it starts coming a little bit more. Like I said, we'll promote you on the show and things like
I
that.
don't have to pay anyone to do my graphic because I can do it myself.
I'm not a good artist, and I was helping out Faded Jin. Her art page is now up on Facebook, which I'll post links to that somewhere. She's just a really fantastic watercolor picture.
We really might put Aaron into a depression state. Like
They know they're just messing with him. He knows that. But I think we are going to have you back on the show.
I'm gonna start boycott Vera Coach.
I think we are going to have you back on the show.
It's gonna be like much.
Maybe as a more of a regular, especially once you get your show up and running. Because I do think that stuff is fascinating.
Yeah.
And I like things like that. So.
And I think I would be entertaining. I've been told before that I should be in a call center because I'm really good at answering the phone.
You don't want to do that.
I don't want to, but I'm really good at answering the phone.
One of my friends is in a call center right now and absolutely hates their life. I hear it every day, and they're like, "Hate my life. I had to deal with 100 calls a day, and did you know that most of the population sucks?" And I was like, "I did know that."
Cancel Coach. That's a good one.
Come on, guys. He's awesome. You guys love him. But yeah, I mean, you brought it. You brought your own watchers today, and that's something that you usually.
All 11 of them.
I think we peaked at 12. So, that's pretty cool. Well, I'm out of topics for today. We're at about the 1 hour mark. I got to actually go over to his house and help him get some stuff done. But yeah, it was really fascinating. I'm really glad that you stopped on the show.
Right.
And we're definitely going to have you back.
Definitely more fascinating than talking to a stuffed animal the whole time.
It was way cooler than talking with Ted, that's for sure. Because I don't think I would have been able to go the full hour. I would have been like, all right, 20 minutes in, we're done. We're done talking about stuff because Ted can't talk. It's like a TED talk without any talking. So, but anyway, yeah, thanks again for coming on the show. We're going to plug the ad screen up one more time. Her ad's not on there because we didn't have one. But that's where you can like, follow, share, subscribe, find us on the internet. She's going to be back, guys. Everyone seemed to really like her. She's going to be back. I don't know that she'll have the time to come on and be a regular. She is pretty busy.
Yes.
This just happened like the stars aligned and it just worked out that way. But yeah, we're definitely going to have her back. Maybe with her own online personality name.
Hopefully, if I.
Hopefully.
Well, maybe.
But yes, please like, follow, share, subscribe, all of those wonderful things. Thanks for tuning in. It's been a show. One for the record books. I think this is one of our more positive ones, and it was really good. So again, thanks for being on. From all of us at Those Two Nerds and our new affiliates. Have a good rest of your Sunday. Stay safe out there. Wear your masks. Wash your hands. Drink some water. And have a good rest of your day.